Okay, so we have cut both pieces and then laid them out flat. I don't know why my camera is so bad. But we've laid them out, and then we're going to take a pair of jeans and fold them, and that's the booty part, and we're going to measure big, really measure big. That way I can just continue to take it in whenever I need to. Okay, so now we've laid the jeans on top, and that's the booty part. That way we can measure the booty, and then I'll fold them the opposite direction and try to measure just the crotch area, because the booty area needs to be bigger than the crotch area so that it, has plenty of room for all this stuff and it's not super tight. I also brought it down a couple inches. And actually, I could bring it down a little further. Knowing what I did last time was it was really like high up in the crotch area, so I make sure he has plenty of room. Because I'm going to sew an elastic waistband on there. And I'm going to have to fold this top area. And that's going to take up several inches. So we will we will make sure that doesn't happen again, so we're going to give him extra room. And hopefully he doesn't open this door right now because he's going to hit me with the front door. Okay, so we're just going to sketch that out with a red pencil, and hopefully we can see that. So I don't have a white pencil, and you can't see this very well, so we're just going to leave the pants on there and cut and trace at the same time. Make sure I'm giving lots of room. You can't even see me. I give lots of room at the top. And we're going to go straight down. Follow along the edge of the pants so we have a good section for the booty. We're going to taper out to the outside, remove the excess. Now we're going to go in and find the pants line for a couple inches and just taper it back out to the outside. That way the pants flare out really nice. But it's still going to be kind of tailored in around the booty area. I'm just going to make sure we have a nice taper outwards. So it's a little bigger than the jeans, but that's lots of room. It looks like this. So that's the top to the bottom. And I might taper that out just a little bit more so it doesn't look crazy. Okay, so now we've flipped the pants the opposite direction and started them lower again, so there's plenty of room at the top for where an elastic band can go. And now we have the crotchy area outwards to the opposite side. So there's the booty, and there's the front. And we're going to kind of just do the same thing. We're going to follow it down through and taper it to the outside, and then take it through and once more taper it back out to the outside. That way they can just flare out nice and big for the full circumference of the stilts. Okay, now I have cut out. As you can see, I made it very dramatic. And I tried to kind of line up my cut from over there to over here where I tapered out so that the pants will flare out nice and pretty. Extra space at the top. So now we kind of like pin it together and see if it fits. So we have two pants legs because I cut both at the same time. So now you should have elastic so that it's nice and snug and goes around and holds things secure, and you should have plenty of room in the upstairs region. It's just one. And I'm going to pin some things together so that we can see what these are. Okay, so I have pinned only to like the crotch area. So we have, this is my waist, which is going to be folded over. This is going to, go down into the spot. And this is going to go around the leg, and I have pinned all the way down to just the very bottom. So we stopped pinning to this point because, of course, these sections, this is going to be attached to the opposite leg, and it's going to open up because we have to, they're pants, we need two legs. Okay, so we're going to make sure that the sewing machine is not on because we don't want to accidentally, you have to push the pedal on the floor for it to go off, but we're going to keep it off. That way we don't accidentally, turn it on and stab ourselves, because that's not cool. So I'm going to go ahead and take this little part out the bottom, get that out of the way. There is still red thread at the bottom here, which is in my thimble. So I didn't really explain that. So this is in here, if you can see that. This is in here like this, and it should be hooked in. So you want the little knob. It has like a little nodule that it fits into, and to undo it, I'm going to pull this little part out, and it should just come undone, and it looks like this. But we are using black thread, not red thread, so I need to change the thimble out. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go find that really quick. Please hold. Okay, so here's a completely empty one, and we're going to thread this. So we will have to turn on the sewing machine. Just make sure you're very careful, and that when you're doing the rest of the stringing process, probably want to turn it off because you don't want to accidentally, hit anything and turn anything on while you've got your fingers down in there, because there is a needle there. So I'm gonna take it out. It's fine. You can stay there. I'm just gonna set this here for now because I don't need it. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the holes of these because I need to put this on my sewing machine. I'll take this bad boy off. I'm going to slide, make sure I'm holding onto the thread. I'm going to slide this on here, and then I'm going to put the smaller end towards. So from here, I'm going to take this guy, it has a little hole, and I have this top knob here. This is my stringer. So I'm going to place this down in there. It should snap and hold itself. Lies, I'm going to take the string. We're going to string it first, but that's where that goes. So this is going to go through that little guy, and it's going to go around this little nodule here. When we're actually using the sewing machine, it's going around this part. Let's see, I need my other hand. So we're going to make sure that this goes through here. This is immensely difficult with just one hand. So we've looped it through this part here, and now we're going to wrap it around this part here. Just going to take this and wrap it there. And it's going to come across over here where we put our thimble, but we have to put the actual thread around the thimble first. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see if I'm right. So I'm going to take my thread. It's already threaded through this, threaded around the round part. Give it a little so this has holes in it, which you can't see. See that hole? I pull. Now it's gone through the hole, and I want it to be going through the top area. All right, so it's going through the top. I'm going to place it once again there. And I want this to be pretty taut. And I'm going to hold this string. Stop that. Pay attention. So I'm just going to pull it with a little tension. Not going to pull really hard because, of course, I don't want the thread to just start pulling out into no man's land. I'm going to flip the switch over here. Now it's on. We're going to be very careful. We're not going to put our fingers or anything underneath here because when I hit, it should be the last thing to let your sewing machine know that we're stringing something. Right now it is moved over to the left-hand side. I'm going to move it over to the right, and that lets my sewing machine know that I'm going to be stringing, not sewing. So if I moved it over and left it how it was, it made that part move. When I move it over here, and I'm going to make sure to give tension upwards, and I'm going to string it kind of slow. You don't want to go super fast. So you want to give just gentle, slow pressure on the pedal with your foot. You don't want to go really fast because it'll start getting all knotted up and weird. Give a little tone. And there we go. It's going to start stringing my thimble for me. Just take your time. Sometimes I just kind of do this so that the string doesn't get all weird. And we're going to cut this top part off because we don't need that. That's just a hold as we do the stringing. But I'm going to take my time because if I go super, super fast, it tends to get loose and mess itself up. So getting there, we're also not going to fill this up like crazy because if it's too full, then it's not going to fit in there right, and it's also going to mess up your process down here. Keep going, go a little faster. Some people go pretty fast, but I don't feel comfortable doing that because it always messes up my thread. Keep on going. So I'm going to let go, and all I do is I just break that off. We don't need him anymore. Then important, we're going to move this back to the left. So we're turning off the stringer mode. We're going to pop that bad boy off. And over here on the side, there's a cutter. You can kind of see it right there. Don't put your fingers in there, okay? It's going to cut you. I'm going to leave a little extra string. And I'm going to cut it. So now I have my strong piece. Like that. I'm going to set that down for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my machine because I don't want to accidentally hit a pedal or anything and put a needle through my fingertips. Not cool. So from there, the easiest part is we're going to wait on this, and we're going to do the top half first. So remember it was strung around this round part here. Now we're going to take it back around the rectangular part. And I'll see if I can't just kind of show that a little bit because it's to see visuals. So see how it was around this? Yep. Now it is around this outside edge, and we're gonna go down. This is so hard to do with one hand. Down, and it shows you arrows, so that's handy. I always want to make sure that my hoop up here is up, and you can rotate this guy. You can rotate this guy to make that move, but I want it to be like as high as possible. That way I can get my string through it. We're gonna go down, up, and hook that in there. Make sure it's hooked through, and then we're gonna go down again. Oop. Yep, and I'm gonna put my foot down. This is the foot, and there is a lever back here that put my foot down. So now my foot down is flush with the base, because this is so handy. I have a handy dandy stringer, so it just has like a little lever here. Push that down, and you need to, with mine is kind of broken, so you have to give it a good little bit of force. I cannot do this next part with just one hand, so this might be trial and error, or you could do it the old-fashioned way and give it a little lickety split and try to get it through the eye hole, which is insanely hard. So it can be done. I've done it lots of times, but I love this stringer. So I wonder if I can't zoom in. Nope, can't do that. All right, so that's fine. So I've got it strung down, up, through this top part here, and I'm gonna push this down, and it's brought my stringer down. I'm gonna go from left to right, just like how we write in a notebook, you know, how we write as a person. And it has a little tab, and I'm gonna hook underneath that. I usually grab it with my finger and go under, and then you have this little section where you can pass it through. And I failed the first time, sometimes it takes a couple tries. Like I said, my stringer is kind of broken, so I have to push it kind of hard for it to go straight up against. It has to be like flush. And then I pull the string back behind a little bit. And that typically, hope if I actually looked. Alright, well, it typically pulls it through, but it is not wanting to work with me today, so we're gonna try it the old-fashioned way. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna pause for a second, because this might take me a moment. Okay, so we have successfully gotten the thread through. I did it the old-fashioned way. Found my scissors, cut off the end so that it was a clean end. Give it a little lickety split so that it would be a little straighter. And so now we're going to, so my tension is pretty tight. So you can adjust your tension. I'm gonna loosen up. If you find that it's really hard to pull, you're probably going to break your thread. So you can adjust that up here, which it might just be like my really crummy machine. I'm gonna lift up my foot, and I'm gonna take my thread underneath into the back of my foot. And you always want to think threads back. Threads under the foot to the back. And that's where we come into our second part here. So I usually kind of pay attention to the directionality of my thimble in the bottom here. So right now it is unraveling at a clockwise direction, and I want my thread at the top. When I have, let's get real close. When I have this, I'm going to press this bad boy in. There's a little divot up here. I'm going to push it through the divot, wrap it around this center part right there, and tuck it in front of my little knob. And then from there, I'm going to put that guy in there. Make sure that the little leg thing matches up with the hole at the top. Pop it in. And this is where there's like a little trick. This is how you string it through. So I'm going to hold, I have a lot of thread from the top line going under the foot to the back. I'm going to let him go. I'm going to hold a little bit of tension on this bottom one that's sticking out. And I'm going to take my knob over here, and I'm going to move it in a counterclockwise movement. I'm going to do one down up with the needle, and then hopefully it caught it. I'm going to let go of this bottom thread. I'm going to touch this top thread, give it a little gentle tug, and when I see the loop pop through the bottom, I'm going to just swipe my scissors across, and look at that. It pulled my bottom thread through up to the top. Now what you want to do, so that you don't screw up your project, is you want to do a couple testers. So 1 second. So this is just a little bit of the leftover fabric from me cutting out the pants. So you typically want to try the same material that you're working with. And this is something that you want to be like, okay, I can mess this up and throw it in the garbage. Like, it's okay. I'm going to put my handy dandy helper back where he belongs. I have my pedal at the bottom. Again, I'm going to be careful where I put my hands, because as soon as I hit that pedal with my foot, this is going to start working. So what I'm going to do, because I'm going to be double layering, I'm going to fold my fabric in half and test the string and make sure that everything is proper and working correctly, so that way I don't mess up my project on the first try. So right now I'm going to, again, strings always to the back. Everything is under the foot, pulled backwards. I'm going to put my material underneath. I'm going to drop my foot down on top, so it's going to be holding everything in place. Make sure you are holding your hands, of course, on the outsides. Never put your fingers in here. You don't want it to suck your finger in and get your fingers. So I'm going to start out kind of slow. Give it a little push. And then to go backwards, so we have something called a stay stitch. You don't want your stitches to come out. This says reverse. That's for your stay stitch. I'm going to press this down and hold and press the button or the pedal again. It just went backwards a little bit. And now I'm going to let go. It goes right back up, so you don't have to worry. You just hold down, up, and go forward one more time. Stay stitch, back, forward. And I'm going to lift my foot. I'm going to move my needle. It doesn't really matter. I usually sometimes do it counterclockwise, but I just did it clockwise. That's what my hand did, so I don't even realize what I'm doing anymore. It's kind of funny. And I'm going to gently pull my string out. You're going to see that you still have strings. What you want to watch for is if there are more than one string coming out from the bottom or the top. Typically the bottom, when it gets bunched up and messed up, it's going to have a bunch of strings, which means you need to restring the bottom. It's going to be messed up. It's going to mess up your entire project. So from there, I'm going to cut my string on this little side notch, pull my strings to the back, and I'm going to check my stitches. So it's a little tight, but it's okay. We can kind of work it. Right now my width is at like 3.5 and my tension is at about 5. I typically like it in the middle around 4, but it depends on the thread and the material. And this changes your type of stitch. I would recommend just trying to stay with a straight stitch or a zigzag stitch. I don't really play with any of the other ones. That's not my MO and I don't know much about those, so I just leave that alone so I don't mess them up. This is the most basic stitch, is your straight stitch. And you can kind of see where it literally just looks like dot, 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 dash, 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 dash. So we'll check that, make sure it's strong, it's not coming undone, nothing bunched up, nothing got weird, and so I feel pretty good. Sometimes I do 2 testers, because it might do great on the first round, and then not be happy on the second round. So I'm going to drop my foot again, stay stitch, go down, give it a lot of length, stay stitch, let go. I'm going to twist my knob counterclockwise this time. Undo it, cut it, strings to the back, check my stitching. It still looks pretty good. It's not like too tight. It gives a little bit of tightness, like you can see, kind of bumps a little bit, but it's okay. If your fabric is really cinching up like this, your tension is too much, so you need to loosen that up. All right, well, it looks like our tester is pretty good, so we can go ahead and move on to sewing the pants, which is the whole purpose of this. But I just want to make sure that I'm not going to start sewing and my project is going to be ruined because, or depending on your sewing machine and what happened, you can just take a seam ripper and undo it, which takes forever, but you can do that if you mess it up. But sometimes if you're working with a very delicate fabric, it'll suck it down in there and it will shred your fabric. So you don't want that to happen. You want to test it and make sure it works good. Okay, so now we're going to line up the pants. So I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up the leg. And I'm going to try to get this. I made sure that all my edges were lined up and even, and I pinned them with the head out. It just depends on you. I'm probably still going to stab myself. Sometimes I don't like to think, I don't think that hard and I kind of forget, but I like to make sure that my heads are, the heads of the pins are sitting up so I can see where they are. And you can sew, I'm going to fold this. You can sew over your pin heads, or at least over through the middle. You want to make sure you're not sew through this middle part. Right there. Don't sew over this. Every now and then your needle will hit this. Usually it just passes past it. But I have broken a couple needles on here from accidentally hitting this. So I typically remove these as I go, just before the needle passes over, because I'm always afraid it's going to break my sewing machine needle, because that has happened before. And then you have broken metal pieces laying everywhere, and that's not cool. So I'm going to line it up at the bottom, come in maybe 1/2 inch, drop my foot at the edge. And of course I like to start with a stay stitch, go all the way down. Sometimes I put stitches in the middle because I'll run out of thread or something like that. You don't have to do that. That's just my preference per se. But I'm going to go ahead and sew all the way down, removing my pins just before the needle goes over it, because I'm always afraid it's going to break my needle. So yeah, here we go. Lots of information. You're welcome. Moving on. Okay, so now we have sewn from the bottom of the pants leg, aka here, all the way up into the midpoint of the crotch. And so here's the little crotchy section. Here's the top of the pants, which is coming unfolded. So I've sewn this little loop area. Now this top loop area, we're gonna open apart because that's where it connects. So when you think about like your regular pants, you usually have a line here, right? This is a good look, right? So here's a little line. This is where we're gonna connect. So what we just sewed was the inner portion here that connects kind of in the crotch area. And now we need to sew together the front seam and the back seam that's gonna go, you know where, up the center of the buttocks. You know what I mean. So we're gonna try to line up. So of course I cut the length a little bit different for the back end towards the front end. So the longer section, aka when you look at this, see how there's just this extra flap? One is shorter, one is longer. We're gonna connect both long pieces together because that is going to be towards the back end. And the front end, of course, is the little shorter part in the front. So front, back. And I can attempt to show what I'm talking about. This one also has a longer side and a shorter side. You can see the difference. And that way we know where the front and the back are. Actually, I don't know if I can show this. This is kind of hard. So we're going to lay the seam. Here's my seam. That's going to be on the inside. So you have an inside seam on the inside of your thigh, right? Or inside of your leg. So our seams are going to go inwards towards each other. Bring that out. We're going to find the little crotchy sections. And we're going to try to, this is where it gets a little confusing. I'm going to have to open up the pant leg, like so. Here's my seam. And I'm going to line up, which this is kind of backwards, we're going to line up the long with the short. So, and then another thing is that everything when you sew it is going to be inside out. So here's the ugly seam part you can actually see. I'm going to flip that inside out and look at that. It looks really pretty on the outside. So everything is going to be done inside out. We're going to leave the ugly seam area to the outside because we're going to eventually flip it in right side out, and it's going to have nice seam lines. So I'm just going to make sure probably to pin and sew these pieces like so that the seam on the inside aligns, and then we're going to take either side. So here is the opening of my pants. Here is the other opening of my pants. I'm going to go sew up the front and then sew up the back, and then once we've done that, we should have this nice opening here, and that will be your waist area. And then I will measure your waist and cut the elastic, and then I will kind of do like a little fraction moment where I will take this part and do something called a pleat. I will fold one section, and I'll try to show that, one section down and over. Let's make that look prettier. Line up the edges, and so this is a pleat. I have folded like this and like this. So we will pleat it and try to make our pleats even, or else it's going to be bunched up in some weird places. You don't want to put a bunch of pleats around the crotch because that looks really funky. You'll have a bunch of fabric like bunched up right here. You want to kind of pleat it evenly and maybe make your pleats a little bit smaller towards the center of the body, or else you'll just have, you know, of course, like we call it diaper butt. You don't want diaper butt. So I'll try to explain more of that later. But we're going to go ahead and try to sew both pant legs together with the front seam and the back seam, aligning those together. Let's try to mess this up. Let's do it. Okay, so to explain what I've done next is I measured the original red pants that we did. And of course it's folded in half, so it's only half. So the complete circumference or full waistband is, and I added like an extra inch, is 36. And the reason why I added an extra inch is because I did this. I folded one behind the other, and I double stitched it. I stitched it 2 times to kind of ensure, and I did my stay stitch as well, the back and forth, to make sure that it doesn't come undone. So following my lead on my first pair of pants, I took my elastic and I went ahead and measured, and like I said, I added some. I measured 36, and then the whole like circumference of the ginormous pants was about 62. And so kind of like I divided that by 36, which math, it's about 1.7 inches. And so what I kind of took is I went about every couple, so if you look at what I've done, I've taken every maybe 2.5, 3 inches, and I've taken in at least an inch and a half or an inch. I believe an inch and a half. For me, I kind of play this game where I go back and forth and I do my pleats. So this is the middle. This is the middle. I didn't do a pleat. I lined up, so I sewed my elastic and I've done 2 lines. It's harder to see because this is all in black, but I double stitched my elastic. I'm putting it on the inside so you can see how this is a pretty seam. I'm making sure to put my elastic on the inside. And even at this point, we can take it and we can fold it one more time. Remember how I gave a lot more leeway in when I first cut it? That's just because I noticed in this pair of pants here that I had to fold a great deal, and it made it kind of tight up in the crotchy area. So I wanted to make sure that I gave a little bit more room this time. And for the pleats, so I just kind of pinned my seam upon my other seam so that everything is lined up nicely. And for my pleats, to make them look nice, from the outside, I'm going to think that I'm folding inwards. So for my next one, which this is kind of like a really difficult, strugglesome task because you have to like fold fabrics kind of funny. You know, I have to have my elastic like inside out, and I have to have my pants inside out because everything is sewn in a circle. So it gets a little weird, and that's where it gets kind of obnoxious and difficult, is because you're sewing in the round, essentially. You're sewing in a round form versus like straightforward, like the pants are super easy to, you know, sew all the way up. But to continue, and if I find that like it's not working very well sometimes, which is annoying me, but you'll go back and either you'll pleat more or put less space, so you're trying to make even pleats. So from the middle, I'm going to think of like folding my pleat kind of towards the middle. Here's my middle, and you can see how the pleat is folded over the top and towards it. So I'm going to go, and this is me doing quick work, so I kind of guesstimate about 3 inches, probably about there. I'm going to take my fabric, here is my elastic, and I fold it over my finger, and I take about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Remember I said it was like 1.7, so I'm kind of guesstimating about 1.5 to 2, just in and out. I'm hoping for about 1.5, because I think that's going to be a good measurement. So I folded my pleat, and if you can see this, I have folded the inside in. It just goes zig, zag, zig. So I folded it inwards towards the direction of the middle. And this is what I'm going for, is that this is going to be kind of like the front area of the pants. And I'm going to make sure to line up my edges nice and pretty. And then I'm going to take my pen. Half of mine are super bent out of shape. That's my fault. And that's sometimes because, like I said earlier, when you're sewing with the pens still in there, sometimes the machine needle will hit them, and that bends them very quickly too, on top of messing up your machine. So I'm going to take my pleat, I'm going to line up all of my edges, I'm going to fold inwards towards the direction of the center, and I've been putting my pin heads from top to bottom, and that way hopefully when I'm sewing, the like alignment with the sewing machine won't be super annoying. And again, I try to, it's a little harder with pleats because I don't want the pleat to unfold, so I will sew over the pins because I just want to make sure that everything is lined up still nicely. But that, yeah, that's, I'll show you what happens. There's a couple good examples in here. That one's not really good. Here's one, and this was a little dramatic. I don't know if this was fully from the machine, but this is what happens. Your pen gets sucked down into the machine, and then it looks like this, and it's, you know, you can kind of bend them back, but it's just it's a struggle. I will say probably like 90% of the time the machine will go over these and not hit them, but I've used these a lot, so they've been hit numerous times, and there's a couple in there that are quite bent out of shape, and I also hate using those because they don't go through the fabric correctly and stuff, so I just kind of ignore them. I have to make sure that the pretty side, so my pants are still inside out, and the idea is that when you put them on, I'm going to fold them right side out, and you will be able to fold them over at least like this. I might sew them like that. That way it all looks clean and pristine on the outside versus having lots of seams showing when you put them on. Which now that I'm looking at them, I might need to, sometimes like I did last time, I folded, instead of lining up the edges like this, I actually took it up and folded it over. So now I need to rethink that process, but it's fine. Please hold for my brain to catch up on figuring that out. Now that I look at the other pants, I think that's what I did. We will see, but anyways, about 3 inches between each pleat, about 1.5 inches for each pleat, always folding towards the center crease, that way you have nice aligned pleats. And let me go ahead and pin the rest of these. This is gonna be fun. I actually forgot to explain one way to kind of like make sure that your pleats are even, or to, I hear you, to understand what's going on. Here is my pant seam going up the middle, and here is my back pant seam. And kind of just, you know, like an eyeballing, I'm gonna pull my elastic and fold it completely in half and line up those seams. on each corner. So I have folded my pleats, or I am holding now one seam on one corner and the other back seam on the other corner, and that just kind of like shows you how much fabric is on either side, and that's where you can kind of play around and understand how much fabric is going to be left over in the middle there. I hope that makes sense. So I fold my elastic in half. Here is the back seam of my pants on the one folded, and here's the front seam of my pants on the front folded. And then you just pleat. Okay, so we have taken our elastic and sewn it on. I only did one stitch because I wanted to make sure, but I'll probably double stitch it again to make sure that it never comes undone ever again. They're a little big, we just tried them on. But essentially, the front seam is aka the crochet point. I'm going to take them and fold them in, OMG, one more time to kind of soak up, that was the whole point, was for me to take them and fold them over one more time. If I can get them to do that and stay that way, that'd be beautiful. Yeah. It's fine, they're difficult by design, it's perfectly fine. So they go like this, and they have been pleated, and you just put on some giant pants, you know? Some giant pants. Give me a nice angle, some giant pants, there we go. They look better on you, Jen, because they were made to fit you, not me. But don't you like my tail? Here's the finished. So I like to go around all my seams and double stitch everything because you just never know. Hem the bottoms. Maybe I'll go ahead and stitch them folded over like this. Maybe not actually, because it'll create a weird line. So I'll just unfold them, stitch them one more time, fold them back in, and that way they are nice and secure and stable. And the only way they will come apart is if the actual fabric rips. So good stretch, Finley, good stretch. Yes. All right, pleats, elastic, length, and we've got full diaper pant going on here. We've got lots of room. Unlike the last pair of pants that were like, they were rough. They were like way up in there, you know what I mean? So we gave lots more room for some breathing here. So much better. Hope that helps. Enjoy.